Good morning. Welcome to GreyNoise 101. I'm Michael Sagarbakian. I'm a product specialist here at GreyNoise. On with me is Jordan Childress. She's a community manager here. And Zoom webinars is actually Supriya, who you may be familiar with. She's hiding under the Zoom webinars title today. But yeah, we're the community team. We're happy to have you on today and go over a quick high-level overview of GreyNoise, just to do some slides real quick and go over like what we'll be going over. So what is GreyNoise? What problems do we solve? What our data sets are, so the noise and riot data sets, our tags and classifications, how to query the visualizer and command line interface, what actions you can take after running a query, and just some resources that are available to you. And just the expectations for this. This is a great refresher for anyone who already has a basic level understanding of GreyNoise, or if you're someone very brand new to GreyNoise, this will be a great way for you to dip your toes into GreyNoise and after this get going on everything we have. So these are some resources that are available to you. This is our resource hub. Well, that loads, I'll go to the next one. The glossary is just some terms and definitions that you'll see on the GreyNoise visualizer. So like what different things mean to GreyNoise. Our resources. So this is where you'll find really different like webinars or events that we have. So there's something newer like our mass exploitation report, our how I use GreyNoise sessions, different podcasts that Andrew might go on, our CEO. We also have our GreyNoise blog. I don't know what my internet is being a loser today, but hopefully that doesn't continue. We have our community Slack. This is a great place for you to engage with other GreyNoise users, other people in the InfoSec community that are using GreyNoise. We often post updates for different blogs. If we post a new tag, or if there's something that you're seeing and you are wondering if there's going to be a tag for, you can drop it in the GreyNoise Slack. So just a great place to get updates on GreyNoise. Yep, in the GreyNoise blog, frequently updated with different use cases, different cool things we're seeing that we just want to maybe dive deeper into, different announcements. So this is a great place to come. And if you're more of a reader learner, this is a great place for you to come to get some of that. And then we also have our documentation hub actually as well, which is, again, mostly everything I'll go over today, but in written form and probably way better detail than I could be on this session. So different use cases, a list of our integrations, just quick start guides. And again, a really great place to come. Actually, we also, teaser, just started putting out these GreyNoise University videos. So I'll be setting up the recording for this session, but again, there will be kind of more bite-sized versions of what we're going over today found here as well. Cool, so just to dive in, so first, like who and what is GreyNoise? We're focused on identifying internet background noise, which helps you answer questions like, is this IP hitting me or is it hitting everyone else? If it's hitting everyone else, what is it doing when scanning the internet? And what is the intent, or as we say, the classification and behavior of that IP address? So our first use case, we want to help reduce the amount of alerts that you need to look at. And we do that by telling you what not to worry about. So the provided context on GreyNoise and the internet background noise, you can use it to filter alerts on anything that's internet facing. Secondly, uncovering and finding compromised devices. We'll go over our alerts feature today, but it can be used for your organization's interests or your own. And we can see if scans are originating from an IP used by you or an organization and alert you on that. And lastly, discovering emerging threats or seeing emerging threats. We have a cool tag trends view that we'll go over as well. And this is a way for you to quickly see what is being scanned for and get more information on vulnerabilities and scanning activities to help you prioritize patching. So to now dive into our data sets and kind of understand what the data is that we'll see on the visualizer when we jump over there. First is our noise data set. This is built off the GreyNoise sensor network data collection. This is a network of sensors that sits across the internet in a variety of data providers, regions, and countries. At the time of this session, we actually have sensors in 40 different countries from 25 providers. Once the data is collected, it's processed through our data pipeline, where it's then enriched and tagged via signatures created by our research team. And this together is then turned into the intelligence feed that we see in the visualizer and API. Next is our Riot dataset. So this is how we help provide context to communications between your users and common business applications. So think of things like Microsoft Office 365, Google Workspace, or Slack. These are applications that communicate through unpublished or dynamic IPs, which make it difficult for security teams to track. So I'll actually pause there. This is kind of all the slides I wanted to go over before jumping over to the visualizer. If there are any questions there here, but happy to jump over the visualizer and start the demonstration. Cool. Well, this is the GreyNoise visualizer. You can come here when you're on our marketing page, click Explore Data, brings you to GreyNoise visualizer, but this is how you can start to ingest the GreyNoise data. So here in our search bar, this is where you can make GNQL queries with our GNQL language. This is how you can search for specific IPs, specific actor tags. You can string things together to make a more complex query, but we also have a cheat sheet for you to see like the different kind of things you can search for. And it's very intuitive to kind of guessing what you want to search for as well. So no worries, it shouldn't be too difficult for making sure you type things in correctly or not. But we can first actually do a query that does a good job of showing GreyNoise as a whole, which is for last seen one day, but we can actually come up here and click today to get that query to pop up. So this is what the results page will look like. So as you can see, over the past day, GreyNoise has seen 284,261 results. We've seen scan the internet over the past day. This left-hand side is a breakdown of kind of what those results look like by country, classification, which we'll go over in a second, whether or not the traffic is spoofable, our tags. These are where you can get a better understanding of what a device is scanning for. It's the signature-based detection method that I mentioned earlier, used to identify actors, tools, and CVEs. OS, actors, organizations, ASNs. And we can actually, from here, we can click into any of these IP addresses to go to an IP details page. We'll start off with one of these malicious ones. And I'll actually pause here. I think I see a question. Oh, Cesar, what's up? Cesar is on the GreyNoise team. He asked, why would you use internet background noise data versus Riot data? I guess it depends what kind of your alerts look like, just to kind of filter out that noise, whether it's in the noise data set or the Riot data set, just to get that added context. So, oh yeah, Sapriya has her hand up.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. So it's exactly like Michael said, but just with a little bit of additional information, right? We're dealing with ingress and egress logs. So for folks that are dealing with like things hitting their network, we want to make sure that our internet background noise data set is providing like that additional context versus our Riot data set, as Michael said, like common business services. This is for egress data. If you're monitoring traffic within your network, going externally, you want to be able to provide, or rather, we're able to provide information and additional context on like, you know, Zoom webinars, for example, or DocuSign or GitHub Actions, a bunch of other stuff kind of in between there. So I hope that helps.
Not seeing any more questions for the time being, so I'll keep it going along. So this is the IP details page, as I mentioned, just to quickly go over what you'll see on the IP details page. So we have the classification here. You'll see the organization, the actor, whether or not the traffic was spoofable or not. Then down here in this observed activity box, we'll see the ports this IP was scanning for, any web requests, so past user agents. If we have the information, we'll share it, jot through fingerprints, hash fingerprints. I'll save this timeline till the end. I'll go over that, but just little teaser to stick around. Up here, some just timely metadata. So the first time GreyNoise has seen this IP address scanning the internet, and most recent time, it's important to note that if GreyNoise doesn't see any observed activity for 90 days, the IP address will leave the visualizer and not be searchable, but we keep the data internally. It doesn't get wiped away. So 90 days is kind of the shelf life for an IP to stay on the visualizer. Then like OS, RDNS, and our tags down here. So to kind of understand why this IP is classified as malicious, we can see the actor is unknown, so we don't know whether or not this actor's intentions are good or not. And on top of that, we see that this IP address has been tagged with a malicious tag, so it's been scanning for MRI. And since it's been seen by GreyNoise, we can say that it's been masking the internet. So while its intent is malicious, it's searching for something malicious, and we don't know who they are. This is something that is most likely an opportunistic scan, something you'd want to set to a medium or high level priority if it was hitting your network. Then we can actually go back to this IP results page, and now we'll check out one of these benign IP addresses. So benign IP addresses, you can think of their typical actors we see are like Shodan or Census, Alpha Strike Labs, Googlebot, these kind of benign organizations. Let's see. Good one. Yeah, so like Alpha Strike Labs, I usually like to show research organization that scans the internet in good faith, as you can see here. GreyNoise has identified this as Alpha Strike Labs. But as you can see here on the right-hand side, it has been searching for this Azure OMI RCE attempt, which I just mentioned, it's a malicious tag, but it's not labeled as a malicious IP address because we know who the actor is. And that kind of gives you that context between something that is malicious or benign. So we know it's a legitimate company, a search engine, security research organization. It's been opportunistically scanned the internet, but as I said, it's someone who we know scans the internet in good faith. So this is something you could either set to your lowest level priority or just ignore completely. It's up to you how you want to prioritize something that's benign in GreyNoise. Then we can actually look at one of our unknown IP addresses. Oh, I did the query wrong. See, even I do the queries wrong still. But I just did that a moment ago, but I guess it's not working. Oh, unknown run right here. So unknown. So like malicious, we see that the actor is unknown, but this time, in this case, there are no tags associated with this IP address. So it's not going to have that malicious tag or classification yet. But as soon as GreyNoise were to see any malicious activity associated with the malicious tag, this IP address would be reclassified as such. So again, just to cover it, we can associate an actor, no malicious activity. It lives in that unknown space. But again, since GreyNoise observed the activity, it's most likely an opportunistic tag. And this is something that can be set to a low or medium level of your priorities. So actually going back and using the example I was trying to use for unknown, this is something that if you search for an IP address in GreyNoise and you come here to this page, it just means that GreyNoise has not seen this IP address. It's hitting our sensors. It doesn't live in GreyNoise. So the typical thinking is usually, oh, GreyNoise doesn't have any context for this, but this could actually be a sign that this IP address isn't hitting everyone else, it's hitting just you, and it could be indicative of a targeted attack. So while it would take some more research on your end, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to help further than this. It's still valuable information to you to know that something that you're curious about isn't in GreyNoise, or the inverse of that. And I'll pause there for any questions, on classifications, the IP details page, kind of the triaging as well. So, see any questions, move along. So let's start by going to, we have some features we can go over now. We can go to the tags trends page. Oh, tag trends page. So
hey, Michael,
yeah.
we actually do have one question.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have a question of, can Greylog in combination with GreyNoise provide IDS and IPS, or is it only IDS?
Spray, you want to jump in for that one?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Greylog and combination provide IDS data and IPs, or is it only IDS? That's a great question. I don't believe Greylog provides anything. In fact, the integration that we provide just enriches existing data. But let me pull up that integration for you, and I'm happy to drop the docs in. And I'm not sure if we have Brad on the call, who might know a little bit more about that integration specifically. But let me take it offline, and I'll DM you the documentation that we have for this.
Perfect.
Thanks, y'all.
The Q&A section now. Thanks for that, Jordan. Yeah, so coming back to the demo here, tag trends. This is it's a few tabs that tell you a few different stories. So as I mentioned, we have our tags in GreyNoise, and we provide some information on that. So this trending tab here gives you information on tags that are increasing in activity over a few days. Anomalies, this highlights tags that see a sudden spike in activity, most active. So these are some usual suspects here. You'll see like web crawler, Mirai, just those IP addresses that are seeing the most activity, and most recent. So if you're wondering if there was a tag for GreyNoise for something that just came out, this is where you come to quickly see. But jumping back over to trending, looking here. So if you come here, you should see like over the 3-day view, activity coming up and to the right. So trending upwards in activity, and you'll see that over this 3-day view. And this is actually jumping over to this, the GreyNoise trends page for a tag. You can see a GreyNoise trends page for any tag just by clicking on its little like gray square. But you can see here what the tag's intent is, what the tag category is, if there's any CVs associated with the tag. For any tag, you can see the 3-day, 10-day, or 30-day view of activity. And each of these data points represents a day on the 10 and 30-day view. And on the 3-day view, it's broken up into 8-hour intervals to see how many unique IPs we're scanning for this tag. And down here, we have a timeline. So when GreyNoise created the tag, any related tags or references we always try to provide when we can. You can actually take a few actions from this page as well. So you can download a manual list or download an IP list of the IPs that we're scanning for this in JSON, CSV, or text, or you can even block at the firewall using this block list URL. People who may have an enterprise API access on this call, they'll probably have, I think it's about 25 blocklist URLs subscriptions, and with community API or community plan access, you'll have access to one active block at the firewall, automatic blocking. And then you can also come up here, click view tagged IPs, and that just does a GNQL query for that tag, where we can see there's 8 results here, and you can even export from here as well, which will similar to doing the manual block list. Coming back just to cover anomalies again real quick. Again, this is a sudden spike in data over a 10-day period. The score kind of just reflects how sudden or big that spike is. It's a bit of math magic to get that number, but as we can see here in the Chromecast scanner, we have some sudden spikes in activity where there's no activity, but then suddenly 64, 78, and then drops down again. And again, same deal, download list, block at firewall. Awesome. Any questions on that? Cool, I'm not seeing anything, so I'll keep it going. Next, we have our analysis tool. Our analysis tool is a way for you to analyze a file or a list of IPs in bulk, as opposed to doing one by one each IP address. I had a list here that I'll use. So you just copy paste, drop it in, and then click analyze. So for community API users, you'll have up to 3 bulk analysis a day. And with that enterprise plans, you'll be able to be unlimited bulk analysis. But as we can see here, I did a bulk analysis for 178 unique IPs. GreyNoise identified 163 of them and 15 were unidentified. We can see here on the left-hand side again, we have this stats breakdown by classification, country, tag, operating system, actors. And then to the right-hand side, we can kind of filter these to view them as we want. We can see here, this is kind of just like them all together, but we can break this down by the classification, so malicious, benign, unknown, or if any of them were in our riot data set. We can click here to toggle for those ones that are unidentified. So these are ones that if we did query for, they would come back as not found. And again, you can export this as well. Again, only available for those with an enterprise plan though. Awesome. And then we also have our alerts. So going back, this speaks more to our compromised device use case. So if there's, an IP block or a tag that you're curious about, or more detailed like GNQL query, you can come over to create an alert, and anything that you can query for up here, you can put in here to the alert criteria. All you need to do is put in your email address and name the alert. Then come back to the saved alerts. You can enable them at any time, disable them. So now I won't get that email daily about any activity that we're seeing related to this query, or I can remove it, or I can edit it and come back to this create alert page. Awesome. Now we can check out kind of those, I mentioned timeline, and we actually have another feature, IP Similarity. So timeline and Similarity are both our newest features. They haven't officially launched yet, but we're kind of teasing them before the official launch. These are going to be added on features or new paid features that you can acquire. So if you have a community plan, you will have access to these. And if you're interested in getting these features added on to your enterprise plan, please hit us up and we're happy to help you start that process. But all you have to do here is put in the IP address you'd want to see similar activity for. So checking out this IP address, it had 101 IP similar to it. This is a great tool to help you, verify your findings. We operate as an independent verification source for reconnaissance infrastructure and malicious infrastructure that executes initial access and exploit attempts. It can help you speed up your investigations by eliminating the need to combine data sets, as well as reignite dead investigations. So actually, if you're someone here who was in our cool early access program, this is we just freshened up the UI here. So as we can see here, the score is just representing like the similarity to the original IP address. Up here, we can see just kind of that basic information about the original one. So how it's classified, the timely metadata, the organization and actor. Then we can do look at a little drop down here, where we can show that this had 3 matching fields. There can be up to 12. So we do similarity based off, some IP-centric fields like VPN, Tor, RDNS, OS, SHA-3 hash, or hash. Then some dynamic fields like whether or not the traffic was spoofable, the web paths, user agents, the ports it was scanning for. So we can toggle those as well. We can see which ones were not matching. So this is just saying that there's nothing unique that this IP address was doing that the one we're compared against wasn't doing as well. And if we wanted to see the IP details page for this IP address, we can click into here and get kind of come to that IP details page. Or coming back, we can kind of use now that we can use that button to do a similarity check for this IP address. So it would now kind of redo that search with the new IP address. And again, you'd be able to export this list into JSON or CSV. Actually, we can see if we can use this one for the timeline. So timeline. Yeah, timeline is another new feature which will be added observed activity. It gives exposure to events times to a user. So an event is when an IP performs an action. Though it sounds like a singular log, in our data, there may be multiple log sources and enhancements to the data used to create an event. Timeline will be helpful to you if you're someone who wants to know what time an IP-based event occurs and cross-correlate that with activity you observed, or if you want to know if the behavior of an IP has changed so you can verify if what you observed is abnormal. So again, you just have to toggle this like timeline tab, and then we can see it was scanning on these days. And as I mentioned, this will be seen for 90 days if we've seen activity. And as of right now, this shows a 30-day view in the timeline tab, but this will be updated to eventually show a 60 and 90-day, past 60, 90 days as well. So then we can see it was scanning for this web crawler on such and such day. So yeah, the ports it was scanning for on each day. And that's kind of a deeper view into the timeline, new timeline feature. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about getting the timeline or similarity view, you can hit up myself, sales@GreyNoise.io. Happy to talk more about it. Cool. Well, that ends the visualizer portion. I'll pause here for questions if there are any before jumping over to the command line interface. Awesome. Nice quiet group today. Never a bad thing. Maybe it means I'm doing a good job of explaining. So if you're interested in using the command line interface, you can come over here to our documentation hub, to the Python SDK information. This is just gives you detailed information on how to install it. You can also go over here and see the GitHub repo for it as well. But I'll switch over my shared screen here. Now I'm a cheater and I have my queries already typed out, and I'm just going to copy and paste because I have a great fear of typing while live. So first we can do GreyNoise setup -H. This will give you the different options of kind of how you can get set up. So if you're someone who has an enterprise account, and you can actually toggle between your different offerings using the -O. So all you need is your API key, so GreyNoise setup -K, your API key -O, which is offering for community. And now my account will now be using the community plan. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'll use my enterprise access to show kind of the more detailed view. If you're someone with a community plan, you know you'd hit that 50 IP lookups a day rate limit. You wouldn't see as much added context, which we'll see in a second. So I've switched mine back over to enterprise. And if you want to do an IP lookup using the command line interface, it's as simple as doing GreyNoise IP and then the IP address you want to look up. As you can see here, the same information we'd see on the IP details page in the visualizer. We see the actor, classification, that observed activity. And then if you can also do a multi-lookup for multiple IP addresses using GreyNoise IP multi, and then the IP addresses you want to look up. And that just does a double query for those IP addresses. You can also query against the RAI database in the command line interface using GreyNoise RAI and Quad 8. This will tell you whether or not it's in the RAI dataset, and then some information like the name, the category, and the trust level. There's actually a great open forum we did. We do open forums about every, I'd say like 6 months. And one of the topics we did about almost a year ago now was about RAI trust levels. The research team jumped on and kind of explained what the trust levels are. I'd definitely recommend checking that out if you're curious about how we classify the trust levels. We can also do GreyNoise quick. So this will just quickly tell you whether or not something is classified as noise or not. So This IP address is classified as noise. It's in our noise data set. We can also do kind of those more complicated queries or multi-queries that I mentioned with GeneQL language. So this is a query for all of the IPs seen over the past day that have been tagged with this SSH brute forcer tag. It will show you the first 10 results of kind of the IP details view. But if you want to see more than 20, which I'm sure there is more than 24 for that query, you can do a query for, I did the wrong copy paste there. So you do GreyNoise query and then size. I did 20 for this example, but sure you can do more than that. Then last seen the query and then -F for format, and I won this in the JSON format. So as we can see here, I now have the 20 results as opposed to those 10 in the JSON format. We can also do a stats view. So as I kept pointing out that, left-hand side view, the stats view, we can do GreyNoise stats and then the query. And that gives you kind of that left-hand side breakdown of how all the IP addresses are broken down by each category. And that about covers the command line interface. Any questions there? Actually, that concludes GreyNoise 101. Coming back to my slides. Yeah, open to any questions that you guys have while we're on. This is all of our contact information. If you need to reach any of us, we're always happy to answer questions, get any feedback if you have any. I'm sure Jordan or Spray can drop that community Slack invite in the chat. I would love to have you and welcome you to the community.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone. And again, like Michael said, we're here. We're happy to hang out and answer questions, go further into depth on anything, but otherwise, we'll catch y'all later. Okay, bye.